For you dummies that think that Babylon the Great is a free country.
Colombia has 3 red stars, one for each city-state in the 3-city empire. This corporate empire of 3 city-states controls the world economically through London's inner city, militarily through the District of Columbia, and spiritually through the Vatican. The Constitution for the District of Columbia operates under a tyrannical Roman law known as Lex Fori, which bears no resemblance to the U.S. Constitution. When Congress passed the Act of 1871, it created a separate corporate government for the District of Columbia. This treasonous act allowed the District of Columbia to operate as a corporation outside the original Constitution of the United States and outside of the best interests of American citizens. A sobering study of the signed treaties and charters between Britain and the United States exposes a shocking truth. The United States has always been, and still is, a British Crown colony. King James I was famous not for just changing the Bible into the King James Version, but for signing the first Charter of Virginia in 1606. That charter granted America's British forefathers a license to settle and colonize America. The charter also guaranteed that future kings and queens of England would have sovereign authority over all the citizens and colonized land in America, stolen from the Indians. After America declared its independence from Great Britain, the Treaty of 1783 was signed. That treaty specifically identifies the King of England as the Prince of the United States and contradicts the belief that America won the War of Independence. Although King George III of England gave up most of his claims over his American colonies, he kept his right to continue receiving payment for his business venture of colonizing America. If America had really won the War of Independence, they would never have agreed to pay debts and reparations to the King of England. When Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the U.S. President was made subservient to the King of England. The 13th Amendment is called the Title of Nobility Amendment and forbids U.S. presidents and their officials from using royal titles like King or Prince or Baron. For some mysterious reason, the 13th Amendment, which was ratified in 1810, no longer appears on current copies of the Constitution. America's blood-soaked War of Independence against the British bankrupted America and turned its citizens into permanent debt slaves of the King.
Passed by Congress, the Act of 1871 provided a government for the 10-mile parcel of land known as the District of Columbia, allowing Washington, D.C. to act as a corporation outside of the original Constitution of the United States. The Act of 1871
and that's why it's called Daughter Babylon.
Original Constitution for the United States for America to the Constitution of the United States of America. A mixture of subtle yet impactful wording, as well as cleverly marketing this act as a way to unify the territorial government for the entire District of Columbia, are contributing factors to how such a major act flew under the radar, ultimately overturning the United States constitutional republic. Since 1871, the federal government has usurped nearly all the power that was formerly held in the hands of the people. How on earth was Congress able to pass a separate constitution and incorporate the United States? In 1871, the U.S. was going through a lot of turmoil. The nation was pretty broke and vulnerable after the Civil War. And the London Bakers, also known as the Rothschilds, who, side note, wish I could get through a video without having to mention them, were ready to make a deal with Congress to remedy that turmoil. The Rothschilds and other European financiers made a lot of credit available in the aftermath of the Civil War, as a means to 1. Fight Lincoln's greenback monetary system, and 2. Collect interest from those who desperately needed the money, which would be the United States government at the time. A corporation, by definition, is a legal entity separate from its owners. In its most notable feature, a corporation protects its owners from personal liability for corporate debts and obligations, well, within limits.
You have to look at it. The president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America.
And they said corporation. Babylon the Great is a corporation. It always has been, always will be. It's run by the bankers. Who are the bankers? The Rothschilds. Shalom. First and foremost, I like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kadosh. Double honors, the elders and apostles, the great millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barakah the Yahweh, Barakah the Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kadosh, Barakatam. So, you know, speaking of Frankenstein currency, you already know that the US dollar was a Frankenstein currency. Well, so was the euro. The euro is a Frankenstein currency, meaning that, okay, they took over. You know, they pretty much, you can call it a United States of Europe, right? But, you know, that's pretty much the 10 nations, which eventually will hate the whore, right? Because they got bankrupted as well. You know, they fell into the trap. The euro is a Frankenstein currency. In 1818, The English writer published her gruesome novel, Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus, which became the world famous. In the story, Dr. Victor Frankenstein pieces together a human-like creature from cadaver parts in the laboratory and succeeds in breathing life into its body. But Frankenstein would immediately like to eliminate the monster he had created. He sees it as a demon, calling it a disgusting monster, a cursed Satan. The monster immediately realized that it is excluded, an outcast from society. It became bitter and vengeful, bringing great misfortune, death, and destruction. Well, so here's what's happened with the euro, right? If you reflect a little longer and look in the recent past, Shelley's Frankenstein book somehow reminds us of the euro. The supranational single currency that was released from the laboratory on January 1st, 1999. It destroyed the mark, the German marks. It destroyed a lot of countries over there. And believe it or not, Hitler, who was a Rothschild, they don't tell you that, but he had actually tried to stop this, right? Which was part of everything else. He was set up as well by the handlers, right? The euro was created artificially by declaring the previously fixed exchange rates of the participating currencies irrevocable among themselves and against the euro as an artificial unit and merging them into it. The national currencies such as the Deutschmark, French franc, Austrian shilling, etc., and you say the German mark, were absorbed into the euro, and the euro was pieced together from them, so to speak. So like everything else though, and its currency is being devalued just like the US dollar is. So this is also part of what's going to cause, the tin horns to hate the whore and burn her with fire. And of course, like everything else, we hadn't seen him for a while, but he's still out there. Of course, he's an insider as he goes into this, right? Something big coming.
Warren Buffett, he's dumping these stuff. What's up, guys? W7 back at you. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on here with Warren Buffett. He's dumping these stocks left and right. I've been reporting on this on the live shows, but I think it's time that we do a video update and people catch up to what's going on here. One of the world's richest men, Warren Buffett, has been dumping Bank of America stock in little chunks here over the past few months. It really started in July, and he hasn't stopped since. He has just been dumping relentlessly. He has made over $6 billion in proceeds from dumping these Bank of America shares. So it's got people asking the question, why would he be doing it right now? There could be several different reasons, but one that keeps popping up on the radar is that this may have something to do with this thing in Canada. TD Bank Canada, for months now, has been under investigation because of this probe that the U.S. government has launched, saying that the Chinese have been laundering money through the bank. Money they're making through selling illicit drugs like fentanyl and other stuff. There's other banks that have been involved, but they have yet to name any of those banks, because when they do, you're going to see the stocks tank big time. And some are speculating that, well, they know there's a handful of U.S. banks connected that have not been named, but they're about to be named. And there's speculation that Bank of America, other big banks, could be caught up in this. And if they get caught up in this probe, they fear that it's going to cause things to dump out. And most people are not aware that this whole thing is going on, that this probe has been initiated and that all this money laundering has been happening through TD Bank of Canada. So here any day now, they could name U.S. banks that are a part of this, and you could see stocks start to dump. That's the speculation right now, and if that's the case, if anyone out there is in any of these banks, you never know how far this could go. We've seen banks out there holding people's money. We've seen lines at the ATM already in other countries, and we're just one crisis away from them installing the CBDC full scale. They just need the right crisis. They got the wallets ready. All the banks got a digital wallet for all your bank accounts. So when this event goes into motion, they have the answer to the crisis, which is just the way that they always play it. Remember the IT thing that just took place? That was not a cyber attack, per se, or a ransom attack. It was a glitch. Or was it? I feel it was a beta test, and I feel the big one is about to go down at any time. And it's this type of event they're looking for to usher in the CBDCs. People won't know anybody. Their bank tells them just download this digital wallet and they're going to send you funds over emergency funds, CBDC form, and they're going to be like, well, can I spend it? They're like, yeah, because they're going to force every store, every place out there to accept them. And if they don't, the snitch campaign will begin, and you know how that goes. So hopefully you're in an area that isn't liking or isn't wanting anything to do with these CBDCs, and they see through it. Where I'm at, almost everywhere that you go, they want cash everywhere, which is how we like it out here. But just a heads up there on the whole thing with Bank of America and what could come in the coming days or weeks ahead. So join me on the live streams, going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
So like everything else, he's always been an insider, but we've been telling you for quite some time that it's coming. You know, the impending MOTB, which will come out of the CBDCs. Now, this is funny because we already know it's a card game, the Illuminati card game, right? But, hey, you know, and I'm sure that a lot of the listeners of InfoWars, you know, even I'm a listener, but I don't take to heart everything, you know, but I do know he's got some information. Well, they're asking, was the Illuminati behind the attempted assassination of Trump? Well, if you know anything about the Illuminati card game, then it's a rhetorical question. Nobody buys the official lone wolf shooter narrative. Callers weigh in on the Alex Jones Show about whether the attempted assassination of President Trump was the work of the Illuminati or a lower deep state.
The Illuminati was, or whatever you want to call it, was behind the assassination attempt. I'm sure you're aware that they're obsessed with numerology, and the shooting occurred exactly at 6/11, which is like 9/11 if the 6 is turned inverted.
And it happened on the 13th when the stars were aligned for the death of leaders perfectly in numerology and in astrology, yeah. And I don't follow that stuff, but I study it because the globalists do.
So there you go. I don't study it, but the globalists do. Globalist is just another term for Illuminati. You know, which Illuminati just means, you know.
Winners never quit and quitters never win. Let's go to Max in Wisconsin. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Jones the Revelator? Yeah, I wanted to talk about some wild conspiracy theories with the Trump shooting, specifically making it kind of appear that the Illuminati was, or whatever you want to call it, was behind the assassination attempt. I'm sure you're aware that they're obsessed with numerology, and the shooting occurred exactly at 6/11, which is like 9/11 if the 6 is turned inverted.
And it happened on the 13th when the stars were aligned for the death of leaders perfectly in numerology and in astrology, yeah. And I don't follow that stuff, but I study it because the globalists do.
And the Bohemian Grove was going on. And
not just going on, their ritual, their high holy day.
Yeah, the cremation of care, where they throw away their care.
Where they sacrifice an innocent child's effigy to transmute their sins onto it.
Yeah, absolutely wild. And like, then, you know, during the speech, you know, the teleprompter planned speech, which of course it should be, it's a professional speech. And at that exact time, the line he's talking about was kind of ominous. He said, if you really want to see something, take a look at this. So then the gunshots ring out. So if he was shot in the head, that would have been his last words before his head exploded on 4K. And then secondarily, regarding the COVID-19 saga coronavirus deal, now that time has gone by and more data has been released. I don't know if you saw this, but all the countries in the world, including small African countries and that got the vaccine, all reported lower birth rates except one country in the world. Do you know what country that is?
I remember, but I don't. Well, which one was it? I've seen the study.
Israel is the only country that didn't see a decline in birth rate.
Well, I was going to raise that point. Israel has suspended bombing of Gaza to inoculate the Palestinians. That's up on Infowars.com. Come on, folks. And the number one cause of polio, Reuters AP, is the polio vaccine.
Yep, there you have it right there. And everybody knows that. I mean, that's a no-brainer right there. And nonetheless, I want to go into this a little bit. It's lucky if this gets taken down. Hopefully it doesn't, but nonetheless, though. again, you know, there's a follow-up card to it. I definitely know about the charismatic leader card, but there's a follow-up card to it, but they both predict the actual event. Enough is enough right here. Okay, so we're going to go look at this one here, because this in particularly revealed the chilling Illuminati card game that predicted 9/11 terror attacks. Mysterious card game been lauded by as one of the most sinister ever made, and it's claimed it predicted the 9/11 terror attacks. The Illuminati card game has been a source of intrigue since its release in 1995, and many of the cards bear a striking resemblance to real-life occurrences. Cards appearing to show events like 9/11, Princess Diana's death, the Japan earthquake, and the rise of ISIS before they took place. You know, but nonetheless, so you can obviously see 9/11, World War III, you know, the terrorist nuke card. But then you got this one. The game alleged to have predicted Donald Trump winning the race to become the 45th president of the United States. The billionaire businessman stormed a victory over Clinton to become president-elect. One of the most closely contested elections in generations. The card in question is the charismatic leader card. It shows a cartoon figure with bright blonde hair addressing a mesmerizing crowd, right? It can be argued the person designed for the purpose of the card resembles Trump, who himself has bright blonde hair and is considered a charismatic individual. But then you got this one where the assassination attempt is right by the ear. Enough is enough card. The enough is enough card is where you really got to get into it, because that card in particularly, yeah, they took that down. Well, no wonder, because this event's already taken place and they are really trying to take down stuff like that. But anyhow, we have the charismatic leader, card. But then the second card, enough is enough, shows the likeness of Donald Trump with a bullet whizzing by his head with the following text. At any time, our snipers lay you in every place. Have a nice day. So, you tell me, was the Illuminati behind it? Well, it's a trick question if you know anything about these handlers, right? Russian military blocks Ukraine drone raid on Capitol. At least 10 UAVs were intercepted while approaching the Russian capital overnight. Russian air defenses thwarted a Ukraine drone attack on Moscow during the night with no casualties or damage on the ground, according to the city's mayor. The official said the first of the UAVs was shot down near Podolsk, 40 kilometers south of Moscow, at around 01:20 on Sunday, and an hour later another drone was destroyed en route to the capital. In a series of follow-up posts over a 6-hour period, civilian reported that more drones were intercepted over the Stumno, Odysee, Leninsky, and Ramensky districts. So they're trying really hard to penetrate Russia, but their defenses are very strong. And then you got this also, same guy, prepare for an era of shock events, warns World Economic Forum leader Klaus Schwab. Even though he stepped down from the leader role, he still plays a major part in it, whether he's stepped down or not. He's never really fully stepped down, but it's not the main president anymore of the World Economic Forum. But nonetheless, though, an era of shock events, because he's saying that everything's going to be, different in 2025. That's what recently Klaus Schwab has said. We'll get into this.
What's going on, guys? Dabu7 back at you with another one. And today, I want to talk about these warnings being put out by Klaus Schwab. Him and his goons saying that there's going to be an era of shock events. So back-to-back events that someone's going to put into motion, And it seems like he's already got foreknowledge of all this, and he's dropping the hints out there. And there's three big things which this all centers around. One is that there seems to be this new group that they're going to be pushing out there globally, this extremist group, so to speak, or whatever, however they're going to label it. And number two, the second thing that's tied into this is going to be them basically pulling off a massive cyber attack. We've called it before a cyber pandemic. I really think that the IT event that we saw here recently was a beta test for that. It was a test run because really the IT thing wasn't even a cyber attack, so to speak. It was just a glitch. And we know a cyber pandemic is in the cards, and they've said so themselves. Another thing here is dealing with the whole climate thing. There seems to be an option on the table for them where they're going to get behind a massive event that's going to force everyone to believe that this climate stuff is real deal. And it's being speculated that one way to do that, to get a lot of people to think that it's all real deal and that we got to do something about it, would be to cause destruction on a coastal city or an island nation. And you're talking about literally sinking an island. Sinking an island. Something along those lines. Tsunami waves inundate an area. Somehow the shelf underneath in a certain area gets broke, and this place starts to sink like Atlantis. This is what's on the table and being talked about right now. So, you know, Klaus Schwab stepping into the shadows is kind of ominous because, to me, it kind of signals that they're ready. So he's still running his mouth, still dropping these ominous warnings, and he's basically saying to prepare that we better be ready for an era of shock events, no matter what it is. I told you, with all these invaders in here, any day now, any day, they're going to get their little bat signal, and the whole thing's going to begin. There's going to be no turning back. When this place turns into Mogadishu, I guess some people are going to find out the hard way. I hope you've been preparing for when these millions of individuals decide to come out, because they've all just been sitting there quiet this whole time. And that alone in itself, I believe, could usher in a series of shock events here in America. We know they want to tear this country down. They want to make it cease to exist. It's all part of the plan. It's in the blueprints. There's even books written about it by Manly P. Hall. Secret Destiny of America. The whole plan for this thing was to bring it down in the end, and that's what they're doing. And we're going down with the ship, so y'all better be prepared. You better build your own ark, so to speak, to escape this madness. Join me on the live streams where I talk about this.
And he does, you know, he's been with D-Live, which is his own platform. You know, because we've been deplatformed in every way possible. I was deplatformed for a while. I'm getting some of my videos up here. Now, some still come down and all that, but nonetheless, though, I've been able to get to, for how long, though? I mean, I've been was out for at least 2 or 3 years on the other platforms, which, you know, like everything else, though, you know, it's definitely in the making. They've been talking about EMP for the longest, right? Just wiping everything out, right? And then, you know, making the digital ID come in, where you have to have a digital ID to even get on there, you know, to have certain privileges. Now, like everything else, though, we know that this hostage thing is a hoax, and that Hamas is a terror group that the Israeli state controls, you know, for the Palestinian side, but they play both sides. Hamas says Israeli airstrikes killed 6 captives in southern Gaza. Well, you know that these hostage situations is nothing more than a smokescreen, and you can see right through all that anyways. High-ranking official with the Palestinian Hamas resistance movement says 6 Israeli captives found dead in a tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip were killed in the Israeli airstrikes on the besieged territory. The one who kills our people daily in the Israeli colonizers with the American weapons. The captives found in Gaza were not killed by us, but by the relentless Zionist bombardment. Member of the political bureau of Hamas said in a statement on Sunday. And like everything else, though, they control both sides of the fence, because they are the fence. Israeli enemy continues its attacks on southern Lebanon. So they got this also, and Lebanon's fighting back, as well as Hamas, which they control Hamas. Keep in mind, but you got Yemen, you got a whole bunch of other. But they're eventually all going to unite with each other, and they're going to come against the Zionist entity. When the Israeli state sees itself surrounded, they're going to take the Samson option, which is World War III. But there's a few things leading up to that. First is these series of events that was just talked about, that Klaus Schwab is giving you a spoiler alert on. These series of events which leads to the digital ID, to the central bank digital currencies, and the mandatory MOTB, and then World War III breaks out. Israeli enemy continues its attacks on Sunday and Saturday evening on the border area towns in southern Lebanon. Meanwhile, the Israeli artillery shelling targeted on Sunday morning Sheba Valley, while enemy warplanes were flying over southern Lebanon, reached the skies of Bidka Valley in eastern Lebanon. Shortly after midnight, the town of Aita al-Shab has been subjected to intermittent artillery shelling originating from the Israeli enemy positions with occupied Palestinian territories. So that's what's going on over there. And in the longer length of this, I have Apostle Tahar's video. I just don't want to get him in any trouble, but Apostle Tahar's video will be in the longer length of this. The prophecy is getting ready to pass, and well, I think we know what that's about, but like everything else, so we got to be circumspect on what we say here on YouTube, because we don't want our videos being taken down, and that's why many of us have also taken to the alternative platforms to where we can keep it for real on there, right? But we know that it's about to become mandatory very soon, and we know that this event is going to lead to the guarantee that everybody will be caught in this third world that comes quickly. We know what triggers the war is that Samson option, which gets all involved. It only takes 1 hour for the missiles to reach Babylon the Great. And anything the Israeli state does is Babylon the Great doing that. Everybody knows that the Israeli state is a part of the U.S., is a part of Britain, is a part of the West. And they're going to go after the West. They're going to go after its capital. The capital of the world is the whore, Babylon the Great. And they're going to burn her with fire, and all those EU nations are going to be joining Russia with it. And like everything else, though, with this plan of a dirty bomb going off and nuclear fallout with Ukraine blowing up nuclear power plants, could easily trigger the event as well. But just look at the devalued currencies. They had to switch to the euro when they had valuable currencies before to get to devalue their currencies, just like Babylon. Hey, it's coming. Revelation chapter 13 verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Those that don't go along with their new world order, their one world government, their one internment plan, right? And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their hand or in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. We know what that is. We know that that's an implant, the implantable device that they want to put in, for all your central bank digital currencies, in order to be able to buy and sell. So we know that this is coming, and here's the wisdom. Let him that hath the understanding count the number of the beast, which this simply meaning that those that have the understanding will know what's coming. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, and we know who this man is. Esau Edom. And we know that is the numeric scheme of all barcodes, and the barcodes is on the implantable micro C-hip. So we know that its number is 666, so we know that's coming. So like everything else, though, the longer length of this will be Apostle Tahar's video. And anybody else on YouTube, just simply click on Apostle Tahar's video. The prophecy is getting ready to come to pass. That would say, Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wal above the ball. Brakathum, Jehovah elect. Shalom.